Drelek, the story so far. Part 1. Redemption and Fate. The following is a basic overview of the current story presented in the D&D campaigns Drelek, Last Light, and the one-shot anthology series War Stories. Our tale began with a series of individuals hoping to find easy gold and apples in the little-known town of Redemption, a village in the eastern reaches of the human nation of Gregoria. Beset by goblin raids, the town was one of many offering a sizable bounty for goblin heads. Little did the adventurers know what would begin in redemption would end in the birth of a new age. The age of sundering. A stone man Goliath accompanied by a sock puppet with a mind of its own. A cursed drow of noble class. A half-orc tiefling bound to an unknown god. A turtle lost in space. And a paladin looking for a strange item. These were but the first of the individuals thrust into fate's game. At an inn in Redemption, they all found themselves bunkered down with a cast of characters. A pair of elven brothers running from trouble. A gang of thieves celebrating their latest heist. A tiefling looking to earn some gold. A trio of dragonborn bards and a strange kenku obsessed with apple juice. Things were strange, but seemed relatively normal. There was before the Lux priesthood came. A priestess of the order, one devoted to the light warrior goddess Lux, entered the scene. She explained that a murderous fugitive had entered the inn disguised as a normal person. Those inside would not be allowed out until this person was discovered and arrested. But more Lux help was coming by dawn, help that would be able to work out who this individual was. Not wishing to wait, our band of unwanted heroes took to looking for this murderer. Once they found them, they would all realize that everything is not what it appeared to be. The situation gets worse as the now desperate Lux priests give those in the inn an ultimatum. Knowing that many were criminals or had committed crimes, they would state that if the murderer did not give themselves up by the break of dawn, or was handed in, everyone inside would be arrested. The group stumble upon an Azamarian member of the Lux priesthood, a genderless angel known as Floric. They explained that the priesthood's upper members were now corrupted. They were manipulating the war with the goblins to make themselves look like heroes, and that once the people were on their side, not only would they take power, but they would begin to remove individuals they deemed as impure. Floric, a founding member of the Order, and still believer in Lux and her righteous views, made a deal with a dark god to wield an ancient weapon to combat their once brethren and make the Lux priesthood pure once more. But after finding the weapon and slaying its warden, they were caught and had since been on the run. With the truth known to this daring group, they set out to help the rogue Luxian. After battling through Lux priests, they managed to get away, only to stumble into an oncoming goblin horde. With unseen aid from an owl Aarakocra named Hoot, our heroes would be set off on their adventure, but not before having to fight one of their own. The Goliath, a strange soul named Wilk, was overtaken by his animated sock puppet with the name of Won't, creating a horrific golem of a beast. After beating him, Wilk, with Won't, rushed off into the forest. The group, in search of him, finds him with a lonesome drow playing a lute. The drow lures our group into a false sense of security before using their magic to put almost all of them to sleep. All but one, the group's own drow, Nerestein. The drow, known as Eleanor, explains that she and her people are drow slavers, individuals who sell others into slavery. But more than that, she is someone who has a history with Nerestein. Nerestein does not remember her. Eleanor provides a small insight, saying that she was known to Nerestein's family, and her own family was brought down by their actions. She also explains that Nerestein's family finally got what it deserved, as now the Underdark is in a state of civil war, one side being led by the self-proclaimed champion of Lolth, the other by the Queen Regent of the Underdark herself. Our group wake up later caged in a cart. They're one of their own, missing, the turtle, Asher. They do, however, have a strange new companion, a furbolg by the name of Yaxper. They try to escape their confinement, only to find that the cage made of a rare anti-magic material. They are informed that they are being sold to the accomplished author Malcolm Dalish, and fitted with magical obedient collars that would explode if tampered with, if they got too far from each other or their master, or if a kill word was uttered. Nerestein swears an oath to herself to find Eleanor and make her pay for this transgression. But now, with the author Malcolm Dalish, the group learn of what is to happen to them. Dalish, a man who has written hugely successful books on tombs and adventuring, requires a new party to uncover his latest find, the supposed tomb of the dread Lord Necromancer Garl. As it turns out, Dalish was no real adventurer, but had others do most of the work for him, and then wrote in his books that their deeds were his own. This tomb, however, proved too much for his adventuring party, whom had all now died. Free from their cage, the group once more used their magic. A newcomer, Yuck, summons his faithful companion, a strange crab familiar called Seymour. The group are told that, well, should Dalish die, their collars will activate. With the group in tow, they navigate a series of more and more deadly rooms, all manner of strange undead becoming their adversaries, including a group of orc skeletons, who ask the party's paladin, an orc themselves, Dar, if he would like a job. He unknowingly agrees, not realizing that to take the job he must die. The group manage to best all of these skeletons and every other encounter, but along the way, Dar finds himself increasingly in more and more trouble with his patron goddess, the nature goddess, Vera. He seems to break his oaths at nearly every opportunity, so much so that a fey spirit sent from Vera's domain is tasked with keeping an eye on him. The fey spirit, Hera. After pushing too far, in one particular incident involving the tomb of a great hero, Hera and Dar are summoned to the summer court in the Feywilds. Dar is to be executed. Hera, ultimately seeing that there may be some good in the orc, makes a pact to allow for Dar's redemption at the cost of her own immortality. Stripped of her powers and now just a fey elf, she joins the party as they finally meet the Dreadlord Garl himself. As it turns out, however, Garl has no ill will towards the party, and is oddly a nice individual. He, however, does have a high level of hate for slavers, stating that all of his undead minions either agreed to join him, or were just bones without souls. Malcolm Dalish attempts to flee, but is shot down by the group and killed. Their collars, about to go off, are easily deactivated by the Dreadlord himself, and the group consider what to do with their freedom. Not before, however, Garl has a brainwave. Garl remembers a strange book in his vast library, a tome written supposedly by the now vanished fate goddess Fortuna. It foretells of a group of heroes who would start off as slaves, only to seek out the champions the world needs in its most dire hour. Garl believes that this group of lovable idiots may very well be Fortuna's chosen champions. And that is the ending of part 1. Please look for another video later explaining the continued adventures of the group, the eventual founding of a second group, those that die along the way, and the new heroes that join their ranks.